heart is essential, right? Like, or grit, or whatever you want to call it. There's going to be a point in the race, no matter what distance you're doing, no matter how good or how, bad the race is going. There's going to be a point where you have to make a decision and determine if you're willing to, whether it's push forward or get to the finish line, or whether you're willing to find that dark place that you've only been a couple times and find out what you really have on that day. And if you don't have that ability to go there, you're always going to think that you are always going to know that you left it on the table. And it's that dark place is a tough place to go to. And, in races, I've only been able to be there a few times. It takes the right series of circumstances to do that. But when you get those days where you're truly leave everything out there, there's not much of a better feeling when you cross the finish line. Like, knowing that there was nothing you could have done on the day to go faster is pretty fulfilling.
Are you ready to go there in St. George if you need be?
If I don't go there in St. George, I'll be extremely disappointed with myself. If I don't put myself in a position to make it worth going there, it will be a tough day. Yeah, I'm doing well. Got home last night from camp. It's a long drive, but it seemed to go by pretty quick. Did a last long run on the course before jumping in the car and making the 9+ hour drive home. Overall, body is holding up pretty well. I'm definitely looking forward to getting back into my normal PT routine and massage routine. Body was feeling great. It took a little bit at the race day sim, took a little bit of a toll, especially on the low back, which was completely expected and kind of part of the plan. But yeah, so we do that at the end of the camp, and now I'm back with my normal routine to be able to get on top of it again before I'll head out to St. George in just a few weeks. The whole purpose of the camp time is you have a block of focus training where you can kind of limit some of the other distractions, but again, also doing so on an environment that's as close to the race as possible. This time it just worked out that it was on the course. I always do a specific prep. I say it over and over and over again. You have to prepare for the demands of the course, and so we've in the past when I've been prepping for Kona, I've gone to Lawrence, Kansas, and that's probably the place I'll go in the future for Kona prep, just because it's hot, humid, windy, and rolling hills. And that's what Kona's going to be. St. George is going to be dry, probably windy, probably hot at the end of it anyways, and wetsuit legal, and so especially in May. And so the point was to find where I could that would simulate that, and St. George being just a drive away, it kind of made that a no-brainer. So the training camp, we kept really the same structure that I normally would have. Mondays were a little bit of a lighter day, and then you've got Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are really tough. Fridays usually some top end work to get you ready for a hard weekend. The training camp, this one was follow that same structure. It was just kind of maybe 5% or 10% more in terms of either volume or intensity, depending on the day. And having this time both my coaches, Matt Bottrell, came over, so being able to just spend a lot of time riding my bike with him, and having Julie there for every single session allows you to be a little bit more aggressive, because they can see your body language, they can see your form, and see the performances and how things are holding up or breaking down, and either give you the reminders or say, okay, yep, we need to adjust things a little bit, and get that really quickly, rather than relying on my qualitative feedback in Training Peak notes or the 1 to 2 times a week that I would see Julie typically. And so it allows for an environment where we can push a little bit more. Being able to ride the course with Matt is fantastic. I mean, he understands time trialing, and he understands bike racing, and so having him break down the certain portions of the course where, just talking through some of the tactical decisions that'll be having to be made on race day was great. I've been working with Julie for a long time, and we've done a number of camps together, and that's been a constant since 2016, and I always appreciate the feedback that I get from her, the advice that I get from her. She's been there as an athlete and worked with many top athletes as a coach, and most of the time, her with me is patience, is holding back that little bit, not leaving your race out on the course in a training day, and having the race show up on race day. And so that's really what we're really focusing on. I used to definitely be a training world champion, where if I could put the numbers out that I would have in some of my hard training sessions, I think I'd be pretty tough to compete with. But that's all for nothing if it doesn't show up and have those numbers on race day. And so it's making sure that you're saving that little bit so you can raise the game for these championship races. This camp, another huge benefit is it brings people all together, and so you've got people that you train well with. Tio and Justin were kind of the two guys, especially the first week. Tim was only there for the first week, but we did every workout together. And then obviously Lauren Brandon is a fantastic swimmer. She was in there pushing us every step of the way. She's prepping for a race this weekend, so she's in great shape as well. And then rode a little bit with Jordan Braden as well. And so those are kind of the main people in our group that I spent a lot of time with. And then obviously, had Matt and Julie. Well, Matt can ride with us all the time, and then Julie sagging some of the runs and things like that, which is kind of misery shared. It makes things a little bit better. It creates a little bit of sometimes a little bit of healthy competition, sometimes a little bit of hey, let's. I'm having a great day, so someone else sees that, gets motivated by that, or vice versa. So it creates an environment for good training, and that's something that's really important. There's definitely people that don't train well together, or that are trying to kill each other and outdo each other each time. And that's been the good thing about this group. I've trained a lot with them, and we can, most of the time leave the egos at the door and stick to our session, hit our numbers, and use each other to feed off of, rather than to try to, either bring down or do too much because you're trying to show the other person up or something like that. My philosophy on work has definitely had to change because of the background that I came from. I always came, coming from a wrestling background, it was always work harder, do more. And, the typical overuse injuries weren't something we really worried about in the wrestling world. You're much more likely to get your shoulder ripped out of your socket than to develop some tendonitis. So more was an okay philosophy, whereas here that's just not the case. And I've had to adapt to that and realize that more and harder work is not always better work. And it's been a learning process. Julie's been instrumental in that change, but I really think that it's been really helpful, especially as I've kind of gone through this year, to keep some of the stress off of the earlier season workouts and keep the mental batteries full. That's been something that I've really been focusing on this year, and hopefully that shows up on May 7th.